Oh boy, they are just making a perfect brew in Milwaukee.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. I've been a baseball podcaster for over a decade now, and I'm now in my sixth season here at the Locked On Podcast Network. You can follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and on Instagram. I am your pal Sully, but Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. If you're listening to us every day, and we see some new ones every day coming on board, make sure to use that hashtag EverydaySully when you make comments so we can tell who's following us every day. So, believe it or not, that kind of sort of helps. Today's episode is brought to you in part by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. Hey, before we get going on what is a busy day, we're talking about some crazy games that took place on Tuesday, and also a crazy conspiracy theory, and saying goodbye to someone who, whether you liked them or not, had a tremendous positive impact on three different baseball markets that will be felt for generations to come. Let's go to the trivia question. The trivia question was, we talked about no-hitters yesterday, and I said, who was the only person to throw a no-hitter the same year they won the Cy Young Award and the World Series MVP? A couple of people threw Justin Verlander my way, which I think he threw a no-hitter the year he won the ALCS MVP. But the fact of the matter is, that's not the correct answer. He never won the World Series MVP. Scott Horsemeyer, who's just killing it as an everyday Sully trivia expert, got it right. It was Sandy Koufax. And you know what? He did it two times. In 1963, he threw a no-hitter, was a Cy Young Award winner, and was a World Series MVP. Same exact thing in 1965. In fact, in both of those years, he was the pitcher on the mound when the Dodgers won the World Series. So it was good to be Sandy Koufax in his prime, I'd like to say. I also want to address I made a mistake bringing up no-hitters and Justin Verlander. I made a mistake saying the last Astro to throw a complete game no-hitter was Justin Verlander. And Justin P. at 5841, one of my Everyday Sully listeners, pointed out that nope, Framber Valdez threw a no-hitter last year, complete game no-hitter. So I was wrong. And I stand corrected. By the way, I've mentioned a lot of teams that are doing well, who are off to terrific starts. And it's truly harder to get off to a better start than what the Milwaukee Brewers have done so far. And they had their opening day, and 90-year-old Bob Uecker was there. By the way, just deep dive some of the things that Bob Uecker has just done. And if you have the MLB app, listen to him when he's calling the game. It's nonstop funny. His Hall of Fame induction speech, he was inducted as a broadcaster, not as a player. I think he would be the first one to admit that he didn't belong there as a player. It's hilarious. And he has a style of comedy that I absolutely adore, which is he never laughs at his own jokes. And when he says something really, really funny, he keeps a real stone face. And it absolutely slays me. But I'll tell you one thing I want. I want a World Series title announced by Bob Uecker. Now, Uecker has been the Brewers announcer since the Cretaceous period, and he is still there. I really thought in 2021 that was going to be the year that the Brewers were going to pull it off. I really felt that they were going to be the team that was, going to be the squad that could pull off the upset of Los Angeles and San Francisco. And it turned out to be Atlanta, who pulled off the upset on Milwaukee in 2021. And the last couple of years, it's been really frustrating. Last year, of course, they were beaten by the Diamondbacks, who went on to win the pennant. So it seems like you have to go through Milwaukee, like they did, like the Nationals had to in 2019, like the um, Dodgers had to in the COVID year, like the Braves had to last year or in 2021, like the what was it called? The Diamondbacks did the year before, and they narrowly missed the playoffs in 2022 when the Phillies managed to finish a little bit ahead of them. And where did they go? The World Series. Well, I've been saying over and over, like the proverbial broken record, that the Central teams have to get off to a great start. And the fact that the Brewers are going into this year as a big old question mark, we're not 100% sure what they are. They have a brand new manager, Pat Murphy. They lost their terrific manager. They traded away their ace in Corbin Burns and seemed to get pennies on the dollar for him, as that clearly was a cost-cutting move. And what kind of a start with this team going to have? And I think it's important to get off to a good start, because if you're unsure what you are and you stumble out of the gate, I'm looking at you, Colorado, who, by the way, lost to the Cubs today. The final score there was 12-2, and the Cubs win over the Rockies. The most startling thing about the Rockies is they have a win. And I'm looking at you, some of the other teams are just complete. The Angels actually have won a couple of games. That's kind of stunning when you look at them the way they started off the year. And we're going to see what happens with the A's. By the way, as I'm recording this, the A's are actually tied with the Red Sox. That game's not yet over. But when you're not sure who you are or what you are, which could definitely be said about the Brewers, then you have to jump out to a terrific start. And here they are, jumping off to, say it with me, a perfect start. An absolutely perfect start. They've won their first, what is it? Is it the first 4 games that they've won? And yeah, they won the first 4 games. They edged the Minnesota Twins today 3-2. And it's the way that they're winning that should give Milwaukee fans a great sense of confidence for this year. They're getting contributions from Christian Yelich, their former MVP, who hit the big home run, drove in runs today, and his average and his OPS is through the roof right now. They've got some big hits from Rhys Hoskins. So some of their veterans are coming through. But it's the young kids. It's the Oliver Dunn who have made a terrific play today. It is Jackson Chourio, who is the great young prospect who they signed to a contract extension through the heat death of the universe. And today, Yelich homered, Jackson Chourio drove in a run, and they had to play kind of a bullpen game because Jacob Junis was not supposed to throw very long. He threw fewer than 50 pitches. It was supposed to be one of those kind of games. And my computer screen is flipping out, so I have to go to my trusted phone right here. But you take a look at the Brewers bullpen today, and they pitched 5 shutout innings, and Uribe, who has come in to be the new closer, has been fantastic. And so when you take a look at a team like the Milwaukee Brewers, give credit. Give credit for them coming out strong. Bruce Turang played well today. They got they just cobbled together a pitching staff today, and they beat the Minnesota Twins, a team some people think are going to win the AL Central. Keep winning the games. Get out to the strong start. And the important thing, I think, for the long-term health of the Brewers is the young players that they're banking on are contributing big time. And so when you look up and say, hey, why did they sign this 20-year-old Chourio kid to play until the earth explodes? Well, he's showing you why. He's showing you why right now. What trust are we going to have in this rotation that doesn't have Burns right now? Well, Peralta looked good. Colin Ray looked pretty good. And the rest of the bullpen has looked tremendous. So keep it going, Milwaukee. This is exciting times, and you want to be able to get out in front early. Have I mentioned that a lot? Yeah. Am I wrong? Absolutely not. This is the way a team like Milwaukee is going to hold on. Now, they could go on a massive slump and we'll forget all about this. But we know at least they're starting the season right. And for a team like Milwaukee in a division like that, where if the Cubs, now the Cubs are off the, they won again today, but if a team stumbles or a team stubs their toe, remember this was a 90-win team last year. They didn't fall off that badly, did they? It's time to hear from our friends over at eBay Motors. Now, eBay Motors, they love to talk about your ride or die. And I can tell you, passions, drive, and patience, that's the formula for winning championships like they want to do in Milwaukee. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. Mom, that means your car. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performances. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices that you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. But available to all customers is our friends over at Gametime. Now, I have been using Gametime because I've been picking up some tickets. I pick up tickets. I'm going to go see the game in Anaheim between the Red Sox and the Angels. That's coming up soon. And I'm going to be bringing up a couple of games when I go up north to see the Giants play. And I may try to see if I can catch one of the NBA playoff games. And now, Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, which gets tickets easy for you, faster, and the best prices on the Gametime app. They actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices viewed from the seats, lowest guaranteed price, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Now, you get those last-minute deals. Hey, I think I'm going to go tonight. You know it's going to have the great flash deals, the zone deals. That's when you can choose your section and let Gametime get the seats. You get the views from all the seats in the venue. Hey, I like that view. That one, not so much. And the lowest price guarantee. Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a better price elsewhere. And Gametime ticket coverage means it's covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. For a limited time, all users can get $20 off of any MLB purchase of $150 or more in the Gametime app. Use the code FIRSTPITCH. Terms apply. That's code FIRSTPITCH for $20 off from March 20th to April 14th only. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, the lowest prices. Do you know what they are? I believe they're guaranteed. Hey, are you watching Fox Sports, ESPN? Is that what you're on? You have to turn down the volume because all the shouting. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day with the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you the can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on the YouTubes, on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, and it's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is indeed your team every day. Hey, I had that lower third on for Gametime. Shouldn't have had that. The Astros today showed you again why baseball is the greatest game of them all. We had the phenomenal no-hitter yesterday, the heartwarming no-hitter. We had that game where it was like I can't even believe what I'm looking at. Is a guy, shouldn't even have been on the roster. Shouldn't even have been there. And all of a sudden, out he comes, throws the no-hitter, and next thing you know, boom. You have the type of game that you just is just the best. It's just the best. And today, a day after the Franco no-hitter, out comes Framber Valdez, who I forgot threw a no-hitter last year, threw a complete game no-hitter. And he was absolutely phenomenal for the Astros. And he pitched a shutout ball into the eighth, pitched 7 1/3 innings, but it was only 1-0. Game was only 1-0. But that's all right. It's all right because Framber Valdez looked great. And then they wound up going to the pen. They let him pitch into the eighth inning. Hey, look at that. You don't always have to run to your bullpen. You can let your pitchers pitch until, and say it with me, until they need relief. And then what happened? And in the inning before the ninth, Jose Altuve, who homered in the only run for the Astros, he got picked off. But okay, fine. All right, fine. They went to the ninth inning. In comes Hader, their new great toy, the new great hope for their bullpen. And he didn't look particularly sharp, but he got to 2 outs. And Davis Schneider hit a 2-out, 2-strike, 2-run, go-ahead home run, and it gave the Blue Jays the lead. So the Astros tried to win it in the bottom of the ninth, and they got Yandy Diaz got on base. In came Jake Myers to pinch run, and he tried to steal second base, and he fell and was thrown out. And then the Blue Jays closed out the game, and there was a final 2-1, which means the Astros, who have had the lead in every single game they've played into the seventh inning, are now 1-5. And the only game they won because the dude threw a no-hitter. Granted, it was 10-0, but still, this is bizarre. This is absolutely bizarre because the Astros are not playing badly. They're getting good pitching. They're getting good hitting. If you look at the stats just from afar, you're like, look at that. They're probably in great shape. And yet they're 1-5. And, if the A's Red Sox game is still going on, but if the A's wind up beating the Red Sox, and that is a possibility because it's tied going into the bottom of the eighth, then the A's would still be ahead of the Astros at this point, even with a no-hitter. This is absolutely surreal and something that I want you to remember in case the AL West is an absolute dogfight at the end. Oh, speaking of bizarre and the A's, have you heard the latest? The A's have made a bunch of moves of they've let Estuary Uriz go to AAA, sent him to AAA. Brent Rooker, who was on their All-Star team last year, got benched, and then James Caprillion last year was waived, and but those two moves, Estuary Ruiz, who is the dynamic speedster of the team, he's in the minor leagues. Brent Rooker is riding the pine. And it's not like the A's are loaded with talent right now. And one thing that those two players had in common is they were wearing on their wrist or somewhere on their body merchandise from the Last Dive Bar. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Last Dive Bar is, it's a local fan group in Oakland who you see them selling stuff outside of the Coliseum. They don't have officially licensed merchandise, but they have been very, very vocal about their disdain for the current ownership of the Oakland A's. And were a big part. I'm not sure if they're the ones who originated, but boy, oh boy, they were big parts of the reverse boycott and the sell the team shirts that were sold there. I believe they're a big part of making those, but I don't want to attribute it if they're not. But they certainly have been known for being vocal against the A's management, vocal against the whole mess of what the Oakland A's have become right now. And Rooker and Ruiz were wearing things from that vendor. And one got sent to the minor leagues, and the other, their lone all-star representative last year, is riding the pine. And there's more than one person out there in the internet thinking that's probably not a coincidence. I mentioned Caprillion, who they got rid of, and Pache, who they got rid of, also were wearing some of the last dive bar merchandise last year, and the A's got rid of both of them. Is that a punishment? But now imagine saying you're not good enough to be on the A's right now. We're going to send you to the minor leagues. Why? Is it your ability? No. Is it the fact that you're not hustling? No. Is it the fact that you can't contribute to the team? No. It's your apparel. And people wonder why the A's are an absolute mess right now. Hey, let's talk a little bit about our friends over at PrizePicks. Do you know what PrizePicks is? It is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and you watch the winnings roll in. Now, you got playoff action coming on in basketball. You have the NCAA tournament going on. Spring training baseball is over. We got the season officially underway. You got to add your favorite players from the diamond to your prize pick entries, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs. Take your pick of the more or less, and then add them to your prize picks today. And in basketball, man, there's so many choices. And I have my prize picks app right here. Where is it right here? And I have it right here. And who am I going to pick on here? I got it right there. I'm going to go, hey, Dennis Schroeder of the Celtics is here. No, the Nets is here. I'm sorry. I'm going to do more than his 2.5 rebounds. And then I have Cam Thomas. I'm going to do less than his 24.5 points. There you go. I'm putting that in there. I'm going to see the winnings come flying in. It's just that easy. Now, this is what you need to do. You need to download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's right. Use code LOCKEDONMLB after downloading the app. You get a first deposit match of up to $100. What you got to do? You got to go to PrizePicks. You got to pick more. You got to pick less. And do you know what? It is that easy. Let's just remind you that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on the Amazon Fire TV in the free TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free TV Fire channel app. I think I said those words in the right order. We'll find out for sure. That's Carlos Vargas, who's a big A's guy, just wrote in, at least we're playing better than last night. Yeah, that's true. I see right now, it's as I'm recording it, it's still 4-4 Red Sox A's. So there you go there. Hey, speaking of the Red Sox right there, sad news today. Larry Lucchino died. And Larry Lucchino was a key member of the Red Sox front office. And he died of cancer today. He was 78 years old, and he was what was his official title with the Red Sox? I believe it was president and CEO was his official title. He was part of the ownership group. He was part of the team that came in. He was part of the Padres organization and helped bring in Theo Epstein, who used to be part of the Padres organization when he was there. And the culture of the Red Sox changed when this new ownership came in. I know people and Red Sox fans like to complain about something, and I've certainly been one of them. How they've, the Mookie Betts trade and some of the things that they've done have made us scratch our heads. But let's remember what life was like just 2 decades ago. I was on HBO saying, "Oh, I just hope I live long enough to see the Red Sox win one World Series title." That was the bar we didn't dare dream whether we could cross. Can we see them win one? And here we are. the 20th anniversary of that one World Series, and we can say, hey, which one of the 4 World Series titles do we like the best? The idea that we can now pick our favorite World Series title for the Red Sox, and one of them wouldn't get a medal. One doesn't get the bronze. And that has become the expectations in Boston is to have a pennant winner. That was not the case before this ownership came in. Between the death of Tom Yawkey and the arrival, which was in 1976, and the arrival of this ownership group, the Red Sox went to one World Series, 86. And I think we know what happened in that one. Actually, I think some of you don't, because some of you still like to bring up Buckner. If you bring up Buckner about the 86 World Series and thinks that's going to be any sort of annoyance, the only annoyance is you don't realize that play is the most overrated play in the history of baseball. I went to bed crying that night thinking about the wild pitch, not the Buckner error. I digress. The entire mindset of Red Sox fandom changed with the arrival of this ownership group. We had the 04 series, which was obviously, we all cried, oh my God, we can now die in peace. The 07 title was like, oh, wait a second. Maybe this isn't a once-in-a-lifetime situation. We can get used to this. The 2013 title, which came absolutely out of nowhere. And then the 18 title, which, yes, there were shenanigans and things like that going on behind. If you don't want to acknowledge it, that's up to you. I remember having fun with it, but if you don't want to acknowledge it because of the cheating going on off the field, I totally understand that. It was fun for me. Now, Lucchino had gone at that point. He left the organization in 2015, but the groundwork had been done for that. And the other groundwork that is done, when you look at the teams that he was involved in, he became the president of the Baltimore Orioles in 1988, which was a horrible year to be an Orioles fan. He became the president and CEO of the San Diego Padres in 1995, and then became the president and CEO of the Red Sox and after the 2001 season. What can you tell me about his times in each one of there? Well, the Orioles turned things around, but the most important thing that happened on his watch with the Baltimore Orioles was Camden Yards. Camden Yards was built under his watch. The Orioles went from Memorial Stadium, which, by the way, was a fantastic stadium. And I wish they, instead of demolishing Memorial Stadium, I wish they could have dynamited around it, picked it up, brought it across the country, and put it in the parking lot of the Oakland Coliseum and have the A's play there. I digress. When he was over in San Diego, they were playing at Jack Murphy Stadium. By the time he left, they were at Petco Park, one of the 3 best stadiums in all of baseball. And when he came into Fenway Park was kind of crumbling. Fenway Park was in rough shape. And more than one person was making the call for knock down Fenway Park and build a new one. Build a new stadium, or maybe a new type of ballpark altogether. And under Lucchino, they refurbished Fenway Park, built in the monster seats, created the whole Fenway Village around it, and made it a brand new experience, preserving Fenway Park for future generations. That is a Johnny Appleseed of creating great stadium environments. Camden Yards, Petco Park, and revised Fenway Park, and a whole new attitude for Red Sox fans. Was Larry Lucchino sometimes a hard person to root for? Sure. Did he sometimes say stuff in the press you didn't want him to say? Yeah. Would I rather have that than what the Red Sox had for generations before, which was the rancid Yawkey management? You bet. So rest in peace, Larry Lucchino. Camden Yards, Petco Park, and the refurbished Fenway Park, that's your legacy. And oh yeah, thanks for helping win all those titles. Let's talk about the trivia question for today. Trivia question today is born on this day was Alex Grammas, who died a couple of years. Was in the in memoriam video I did a few years ago. Alex Grammas was born on this day. He was a faithful lieutenant of Sparky Anderson during the Big Red Machine, and then later became a manager himself. The trivia question is this: what Hall of Famer did Alex Grammas manage in their final years in their career? One of the great players of all time, had their last manager ever in the major leagues be Alex Grammas? That is the trivia question. Put it down here at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and Instagram, or down here on YouTube. You can follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And Mike Lawton points out that his last contribution was Polar Park and the AAA Worcester Red Sox. That's right. So there you go. The Larry Lucchino's legacy lives on. Talking about the exciting Brewers, the confusing Astros, conspiracies in Oakland, and the effect that Larry Lucchino will have for generations. It's been Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.